Okay, can everybody hear? In the back, can you hear me? Wave something, throw something at me. Okay, thank you. So the existing bridge is here. It's a four-span bridge that was built in 1928. It's deteriorating. As you know, it was originally a two-lane bridge. The outside of the bridge has deteriorated to the point that a few months ago, we shut out the outside and have a one-lane bridge now, and that's because of the deterioration of the bridge. The bridge is safe to drive over, but in the middle. So you don't have to worry about the safety of the bridge being a one-lane bridge. It's fine. But, you couldn't drive a heavy truck over it because of the age. So it's almost 100 years old, and that's why we want to replace it. So in order to maintain traffic while we do that, the new bridge will be offset to the west about 42 feet. So here's the new bridge. The new bridge, when it goes over the UP, will be a four-lane bridge. There'll be 2 lanes southbound, 2 lanes northbound, and that's so to handle the turns when you get to the intersection with 66. And there will also be an 8-foot bike, pedestrian walk, a multi-use trail is what we call it, on the west side of the bridge. So pedestrians and bicyclists will be able to use the bridge without having to get into traffic. So we feel like that's pretty nice. So one of the concerns was the steepness of coming off the bridge into the intersection. And probably some of you have dragged your boats or trailers over that. We're going to flatten that out. In fact, we're moving the intersection to the north about 50 feet. So the existing road, existing intersection is here. We're going to slide that to the north about 50 feet. And MoDOT, we worked with MoDOT on that. That's their route. And they were very good to work with about moving that. And so that will allow us to have a flatter grade coming off that so that we don't drag things as we go across it. That intersection will still be signalized, and it will actually line up better than the existing intersection. So moving it over allows us to maintain traffic on the existing bridge during construction. For the most part, there will be periods of time, a day here or there, and a month towards the end of the job that it will be closed to traffic, just because that's what you have to do for construction, right? You can't make omelets without breaking eggs. You can't build construction without shutting things down for short periods of time. To the south of the bridge, we're going to move that intersection with Main Street south just a little bit. And the main concern there is so that traffic can get across the Burlington Northern Santa Fe at grade crossing, the one that you drive across. And then we can get a couple cars south of the track as the first car begins to turn. That will be stop control as it is today. There'll be stop signs, so the cars will stop and then turn left or go straight. So that's kind of a run through of what the improvement is. As far as impacts, there will be right-of-way impacts on the south, a little bit on the northwest with the convenience store, and then a temporary easement over here. We've really worked very hard to minimize those impacts to the right-of-way, but we couldn't miss it completely and accomplish all the things we wanted to with the project. Some other things, the project is being done in accordance with MoDOT standards because of the anticipation of using federal funds. So that plays into the design standards, how we'll handle acquisition of the right-of-way. All of that will be done in accordance with the federal guidelines. As far as the timing, it's outlined on our sheet, but I'll go over it. We've kind of talked a little bit about, we show a little bit about some of the things we've completed. We have preliminary plans that are approved by MoDOT. Right-of-way plans have been submitted to MoDOT for their review and approval, and we have preliminary approval from both of the railroads. So we'll be seeking final approval of the railroads and MoDOT in the coming months. we hope to take this out to bid for contractors to give us their prices this winter, start construction next spring, and then build it next summer, next construction season, and have it completed by the end of 23. I think that's the main points I wanted to talk about and kind of give you the overview of the project. Again, if you do have comments, please fill out a comment card and leave them with myself or Candy, or send an email to Candy or Craig. You want to take a few questions? Do we have time?
Yeah, what's
okay.
If you could send those emails within 10 days of today's date, that would be able to cut off so we can get everything to vote out. Or grade to vote out.
Okay, I'll try to field any questions that anybody might have. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Was there ever any consideration with BNSF and UP of putting the BNSF traffic on the UP line, switching over prior to the first Great Little Crossing in Eureka, before the old grain store, and then putting it back on their own line down by Pacific, and then converting that whole rail bed into a trails project for walking and joining our sister city of Pacific with Eureka? Then you would get rid of 5 Great Little Crossings through West Main and Eureka, plus the one where the bridge is now, that'd be gone.
We did not approach the railroads with that because of the volume of traffic and because they are direct competitors.
Right.
But I'm not opposed to asking the Burlington Northern that question. We're in contact with them frequently to discuss the details of the project.
They do it a lot through the country.
We can pose that question to them. Do you mind leaving that comment? Thank you. Ma'am, I think you were next.
So you said something about that you already have the right of way on the north side of 66.
We will need to acquire right away
Okay.
from the convenience store and then an easement from this convenience store. And then there'll be some right of way on the south side that we need to acquire.
Okay, and who owns the land on the south side?
Candy, do you know that?
The city would know, I don't know off the top of my head. It's just a developer, private developer.
So a private developer owns that, and is that what these little house plots are on this map? So a developer owns that, and you need to get an easement through that for right of way.
What you see on this is the existing land map, the existing property lines or lot lines that when it's platted. We're just showing that as that's what's out there now. That's not in any anticipation, has nothing to do with the project. It's just when we got it surveyed, that's the lot lines that came in from the old plat.
But all that property on that side is owned by one person.
All the properties on
Yeah, there's one, I forget the name of the LLC is, but it's Larry Chapman's the developer. He does stuff all over town, so he's the main guy that controls that property.
So he'll be involved in the right of way for the community.
Yeah, we've talked to him about, we just been waiting until, the idea has been to wait to approach all the people in the right of way until you have the final plans, so you don't keep bringing them different things. So now that the plans are final, you can go out and kind of make arrangements with everybody to do that. But they're, I mean, from that piece of ground, they should be pretty tickled because, I mean, it's not marked, you can't do anything with the property with the bridge like it is. So once that's fixed, they're gonna have a pretty big incentive to work with us on the right of way because it helps improve their property. Should work for us.
And then I could do the track, and then helps improve their property, a couple of subdivisions in there,
If what does?
to put a couple of.
I have no idea. There's no zoning, there's nothing that's done on there, so they've never sent in a proposal. I have no idea what they would do.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Yes, talking with you, young lady over here about the bridge. There's 2 lanes coming north, or 2 lanes coming south, and there'll be one at the intersection right there. Why are we waiting and not going ahead and making it 2 lanes going on north also? Because with the volume of traffic that we're having on, from the riverside, when we're coming out of Jeff County into Eureka, there's no way that we can improve anything right now because the state's not gonna come up with any money. Why don't we go ahead and make that bridge traffic ready? Because as soon as they build that bridge, there's gonna be 400 or 500 houses back in it.
It has to
And
do.
you're gonna add, from what you got from the legends and stuff that come through, you're gonna add another, 500 houses, so times 2 cars. You're gonna have a mess there by only having one lane heading north and trying to get out of the subdivision in the morning.
We looked at Main Street remaining a 2-lane road and the road to the south being a 2-lane road, so that you've got one lane that would feed in northbound at a time because it's stop control. So with only one lane being feeding in northbound at a time, because of the intersection control, you only needed one lane going over the BNSF. And then once you get past that, you want to start your turn lanes coming into the signalized intersection. So that's why then it tapers from 1 to 2.
I just hope that we don't look at it and go, oh, because I've discussed other situations in town, and they say right now the traffic is, the Arbors of Lockwood, the traffic is so bad now with the factories and the school and all this stuff. We need to be planning ahead, like they used to make contractors and developers do this, change the road and make sure they were right, so they don't have that problem down the road. And we've been lucky that the railroad hasn't closed the road down between the tracks yet, which they possibly could any time. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we have, I know we did a study on the traffic, and it went out to 2050, but my goodness, I don't know if they did a study over on this side of the river and figured for all the homes and traffic now that they have there. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we are looking ahead and not looking right at the present.
We did. I won't tell you that we don't ever make mistakes, but we did consider the future growth of traffic, the future development. We made some assumptions that this area would develop and that the traffic, that's what needs for the traffic numbers that we calculate. So we did consider it, I'll say that. Yes, sir.
He does make a good point, because Ashton Woods, just east, before that subdivision was built, that was a 2-lane road, just like Main Street. But we see what happened there. They built, I don't know how many houses, but they built a ton of them. And that new concrete road there, that used to be the 2-lane, is now wide enough for 4 lanes. It's still divided into 2, but it's wide enough. So the anticipation, I don't know if that's why they did that, but that is a wide road from the railroad tracks through Ashton Woods, and then it goes back to 2-lane where you're talking about Main Street.
Mhm.
So that is right, what he's saying, if there is a development in the old town of Allenton, it'll already get a ton of traffic from Ashton Woods coming up in the morning when it's 7 o'clock or whatever. There's a line of cars at that light.
One thing I'd like to point out, there is room to add a lane here. Right now, we have a median and show it just because, like Frank was explaining, we have the 1 lane turning here and the 1 lane turning here at the present. But there is a possibility for future growth to take that out and to form two lanes going north and 2 lanes going south. The bridge is designed for 4 total lanes.
So with that being said, she's probably hinting that the contractor that's gonna make a big subdivision will do like Ashton Woods did. They'll make that road wider, hopefully. That's out of your control, I understand. But that's probably what be happening, bringing your point up.
It would take a lot of development. I'm not gonna say it won't happen someday, but it would take a lot of development for it to overload what is being planned.
Okay. You've heard that before.
Sure. Right. It's a calculated guess.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Except that go back 20 years, that whole town of Allenton was bulldozed to these subdivisions and the farmland behind us. This isn't a new concept. I mean, we're all going, we know what's going on. I mean, we know what's been talked about and not really, and this thing just.
Right.
So it's legitimate.
Okay, if you would, please fill out a comment card, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My other comment to the city is, hopefully the city will hold these developers to improving and looking to the future and not doing as previous administrations have and let them build the way they want. And now we're stuck with traffic problems.
Well, the biggest thing on this one, and that's, I mean, when you get it, I'd put it to you this way. We have, and I'd say it to you again, I have no idea what the guy's gonna do with it. It's one guy that owns all the frontage property. So Chapman is primarily, I mean, he does a lot of commercial projects or like that. I don't know if you heard of that food truck deal that's down there at 9 Mile, but he might sell the property. I have no clue what he's gonna do on it. But the way we designed the bridge from the city's perspective was you gotta get it fixed because the people there right now don't have access. So we try to design it as big as you can to give it as much space as you can and still build it. You know, so it's about a $6.5 million or so project by the time you get done. We're trying to get federal funding on it. So we're trying to back into the biggest thing we can do, because there was a plan originally when I got here, it was 3 lanes. So we're like, well, what does it cost to do the 4? Let's get, so we stress test that to try and get it bigger. But the thing I would tell you is the improvements around it. I mean, yeah, everything coming in and tying to that would be developer driven, but then we'd actually have some project to look at to be able to tell them what to do, because you know, there's a limit to what we could design. So we just looked at the choke point of the bridge and said, let's make that as robust as we can afford to do and be responsible with it. But it's going to be up to whoever comes in there to do it. I mean, they're the use, and like I said, they've already got a big enough benefit from the city fixing the problem that, you know, like I said, the road work that's there that's tying into that intersection is not what it'll look like someday. But it's good enough to at least get everybody onto the bridge and service everybody that's there. But that's kind of the concept. Let's get it, the bridge as robust as we can, fix it, and then whoever comes after and does anything, whether it's him or he sells it or whoever, it's going to be on them to do it. And that'll be public hearings, zoning, all the different stuff that you get to do. And then that's all the discussion we've had with them. There's no, and we've actually done that on purpose. The deal was strictly give us the right of way, the bridge is coming in. There's no other existing agreements. There's no zoning in place. He's never gone to hearing. I've never seen a concept plan for the, I have no idea what the guy's gonna do. Nobody does. He doesn't.
Who is the developer?
It's a guy named, it's in an entity. It says, I can't remember what the name of the entity was, but Larry Chapman is the developer that owns that property. But he's a fairly large, well-known guy in the St. Louis area. Does a lot of different commercial projects, basically. It's more what he does. But he does sell and invest, so you never know what it could be. Yes, sir?
For the mayor, I've met with him several times,
Mhm.
Clayton, and it's an albatross to them. They own it, but they don't know what to do with it because it's a solid sheet of rock. I think Lowe's took a crack at it and that failed. I know a lot of other developers have looked at it and walked away because jacking holes in rock is just too darn expensive. So I don't know what would go on that land.
Yep.
Did you have another question, ma'am? Yeah,
Me?
yeah.
Well, I'm wondering what the time frame of this is. What is the projection?
We're gonna go to bid this winter. And then next spring, we'll start construction. And then all spring, summer, fall of 23 will be the construction season. And then we'll wrap it up by the end of 23. Yes, sir?
I don't know if this is a question for you or not, but you alluded to, you guys are involved in the current constriction of the bridge. This has to do with traffic flow. If you're approaching the existing intersection eastbound on Old 66, there's a no right turn sign there. Is there a reason that cannot be no right turn on red?
The temp signal can't do it. The permanent, you'll have a better situation, but the temp, the way it's configured, because you have on and off, we work with MoDOT, they can't, when they're coming off, it's a red light. And they can't.
That's what I'm saying, no right turn on red, but
Right.
if eastbound traffic has a green light, I don't think there's any way that it causes a problem to be able to turn right over the bridge. If you're coming from Pacific on Old 66, if it's no right turn on red, right now it's no right turn, period.
Yeah, but it was a MoDOT requirement.
Yeah.
So there's some combination they have, because they control that intersection. And I've had a couple of people come in and ask, including like Jerry Holloway, who's an alderman that makes a drive home from Pacific every day. And there was a combination that's on there that they can't accommodate, because they have to clear it. And I mean, I've walked through with them before, and I can't remember. I know what you're saying. Seems like it makes sense, but they have a situation that doesn't make sense on the light.
It was MoDOT's very conservative, they're very safety driven in their decisions. And the thought was, yeah, so you know, the thought was if somebody starts that turning movement and gets trapped, that the eastbound person doesn't see that car that's over the bridge because it's a big hump. It could create a head-on, not that they would crash, but then the car had to back up and it suddenly there's a big jam. So it was perhaps an over-conservative, but certainly a conservative approach that MoDOT.
And I think they just don't want anybody making a right turn period on it from that direction was more the thing too. Like you get in the habit of doing it red or green, then are you gonna try and do it red and do they read? So that was part of it. They was just, they don't, like we've had that discussion with them several times because it is inconvenient. I mean, I've been caught on it several times myself. It's irritating. Whole stinking thing is irritating. So,
Anything else?
Just one other thing, as far as the cost on the bridge, with the amount of increase in material and stuff, is that price locked in or?
Nothing's locked in. We don't even have plans yet.
Okay,
So we have where they're at, they've got preliminary plans and we've got estimates that are reasonable estimates based on what's going on, but I can't bid stuff a month from now. I don't know how to tell you what something's gonna be by the end of the year, so
Taxes went up.
everything's up, so we'll see where it's at that time.
Went
But
up, so I was just wondering if we had, that 6 million or whatever it was, is not,
it's a guess.
it's a guess.
Yes. And we update those estimates periodically for those reasons that costs go up. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned, you mentioned the potential for federal funding for health time cards, what happens if you don't want that?
We've already got 2.5 million secured for it.
So given the cost environment that we're in now, if bids do come in crazy, what does that do to the financing of the project?
We'll make it work. I mean, their bids aren't gonna be so nuts between what we have in there, what we did with Prop E, and what we have, and we just gotta figure it out, and we've got decent general revenue growth, so we wouldn't be going this far if we didn't think it was possible to get done. So, I mean, it'd be great if the water sale happened too and got done, because that'll really secure up and shore up stuff, but that's, yeah, the financing of this isn't an issue right now.
Okay. I think we're done with the questions. Again, comments, please fill out the comment sheet, and put your information on the sign in. And thank you for your comments and questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you.